Today's question is from Carolyn Jones, 73. We all have so many experiences, but how do you take a story that we have and turn it into an entertaining and engaging series? All right, so if you are following me on Instagram at Glow Graphics, you know that I have been just pushing and preaching content series and storytelling series. And what I think is making it so powerful and where I see the future of Instagram landing is when you think about your Netflix dashboard or your Hulu dashboard, you just have a series of shows. And I think creators are going to start to have a series of playlists that kind of take people on very specific journeys. More and more people are moving away from the niched down type of brand, and they're recognizing that there's way more longevity in a nicheless or multifaceted type of brand. So, for example, when I was a travel blogger, I might have had 70% of my content as travel, but the other 30%, I did Nigerian comedy sketches and just like random writing or photography or business entrepreneurship stuff. So I always had multiple plots going at the same time. And it didn't mean that, the people that were coming for travel were disappointed. They just got to know me in a more intimate way. So understand if you are someone that's a financial educator and you are also sharing about life as a mother or life as, I don't know, a karaoke enthusiast, it actually bonds you to your community more than you think. So these storytelling series, I want you to think of them as like side quests and side plots. So you're watching a movie and you're the main character, but the main character has a best friend and a neighbor, and they also have their little stories going on and their little drama. So these storytelling series are meant to be other things that are going on in your life that could add a little bit of drama or entertainment value to your brand. So let's look at your first word of your question. So taking a story and turning it into something entertaining. So entertainment value comes in a couple ways. There's humor and comedy, but what I think of as entertaining is anything that is dramatized for the effect of deeper resonance. So there's a couple that I follow, Shan and Jamal. I believe on Facebook they're called the Creatives, but Jamal the Creative, maybe on Instagram, and his wife. I've been following them for maybe 4 years. They definitely popped off after the pandemic or during the pandemic, and they started creating couples content. They met, during the pandemic. They quarantined together, got engaged, and then when the world started to open back up, they got married, and they eloped and then had a celebration later. But a lot of their content was around girlfriend and boyfriend dynamics or just the random things that happen when you live together with your person. And what was so entertaining about their content is they had like a couple things. So the woman, Shan, she would always steal the boyfriend's hoodie. And so they started to make it a part of the plot, even if they were at a restaurant talking about something completely different. By the end of the skit, she would have his hoodie on. And so it's kind of these little like Easter egg moments where you watch a video, you watch the skit for the entertainment, but then you watch it twice to see if there was an Easter egg that they planted of like a side plot that's kind of like an inside joke. So one of those inside jokes that's in like 80% of the videos is the fact that by the end of that skit, she will have his hoodie on. And it's hilarious because it happens in the most random way and you don't even catch it. And another another like side plot or entertainment value that they add is that she has this strange cough and it's like really dramatic, like and it looks a little bit obnoxious, but she does it in probably 50% of the videos and it just comes out of nowhere. And sometimes when the skit doesn't have a natural conclusion, it'll just conclude with her coughing. And it's the most random thing, but my goodness, the continuity is just so beautifully done. And the husband is a producer, so he's very skilled at the video production side of things, and he understands storytelling and the continuity of everything. So that's one way to be entertaining is that you're just dramatizing and making theater out of everyday moments. And I find those to actually be more enjoyable than like the pranks. Like if I'm watching couples content, The really dramatic pranks can sometimes be a little bit too staged or forced. Someone actually that does pranks really well, you probably follow her, but Christy, Sarah, and Desmond Scott. So Christy with a K dot Sarah, and that's with an H at the end. So she also blew up a ton during the pandemic. I mean, she's worth eight figures now and has made millions of dollars pranking her husband. And the brand deals, the fashion magazines, Vogue, like every luxury company that you can imagine has worked with her or has pitched her something. And it's incredible because she started off as like not a mommy blogger, but like, yeah, like she did like wife content and then mommy content and then blew up over the pandemic with the pranks. So the entertainment value there and a couple Easter eggs is that you can expect her husband, Desmond, to scream her name at the ridiculousness of whatever it is that she's about to play out. So there's always like, Krista! And that just his screech and his shock is always funny to witness. So that's something that you will always expect. Now, where she brings an extra level of entertainment and why her pranks are probably more just enjoyable and consumable than the cringy ones is the fact that she will have on some ridiculous costume in the beginning. Now it's like oversized outfits and stuff, but she would have like a ridiculous costume, like an alien head or a dinosaur suit. Recently, she gave her husband Pokemon cards dressed up as Pikachu. So just very random. She owns so many types of costumes that you just don't even know exist. She'll just dress up as a sandwich to serve him lunch. And it might be a 15-second video. And it might have cost them, I don't know, $100 to get the suit and stuff, but she stops at nothing to script and play out such dramatic everyday moments. And I think it's that feeling of like you never know what you're going to get with both of them that makes them so enjoyable to watch. And so again, that's entertaining. And it's an ongoing series with both of them because what they're actually doing is taking you through their life. There is no end story. As long as they're alive, they will always have content because they're not basing their series on any fixed journey or outcome. For example, if Jamal and Shan did their series on counting down to the wedding, and by the time they got to the wedding, it's like, okay, the content is over. And that's great. Sorry, I was eating a granola bar. Mm. And that's great for a series if you don't want it to go on forever. But you want to think of your content as always kind of being in a part of a series, whether you're naming it part one, part two, or not. People are watching because they feel like they're watching a show. You are someone that is in season five of your life, and they are watching the plot that's going to unfold. So you have to almost orchestrate um, what the drama is going to be this year, what the tension is, what the climax is, what the friction is. You can't only post highlights because people don't watch happy movies. And that's when I talk about like leaning into vulnerability. It causes tension, it causes relatability, it causes people to lean in and actually connect to your story. But if you're only posting your wins, surface level quotes, things that don't really move them emotionally, they're going to tune out because it's like we watch movies to see how the protagonist makes it through. We don't watch movies to see the goodness of life, unfortunately. Like we need thrillers, we need drama, we need rom-coms, but there's always tension, friction, conflict, confrontation, these uncomfortable truths and everyday realities of life. And we love to see it play out in other people so we can then glean the wisdom and hopefully avoid some of the losses or scars from whatever it is that they went through. So you're doing people a service when you share your story from a very authentic and honest place and you don't leave out the negative stuff. For example, in 2022, when I decided to talk about my love story and finally share that I was in a relationship, I didn't just say, "Whoop, taken off the market. All right, y'all, Happy New Year." I said, by the way, here's how much I spent on dating apps. I think it was like 2000 something dollars over several months because I would pay for premium features because these apps, I mean, if you have millions of horny guys swiping on every woman, you're not going to get a quality match. So I invested in making sure that I can choose all my premium features of like no smoking, believes in God. Like I wanted to be able to filter out the people that I knew, weren't going to be someone that I aligned with. I talked about breakup text messages that I've had to send in the past because I began to fear someone and how he still gaslit me, you know, after it happened and how, still called me everything but a child of God. And I still wished him well, like exiting with grace and walking with my dignity because I know it was his loss, and just some of the creepy, fetishized messages that I've gotten on dating apps, I shared all of it because I wasn't trying to paint this perfect story of I'm better than y'all because I figured something out. It's like, no, here's all the ish I went through, but here's what I was willing to go through because love is worth it. And if you're not willing to get your heart broken, you're not ready to fall in love because the reality is it's 50-50. And I was just sharing my journey and the books I read, the therapy that I took, the solo trips and the solitude and the journals and the all the things that I allowed myself to process, my own negative patterns, my own traumas, my own issues. Because it's never just one person that is the downfall of any relationship. It takes two people to make it win, but two people will always be imperfect together. And so acknowledging your side and your flaws and your faults in every partnership. Okay, so that's another example of just like vulnerability. So that's entertaining. And if you feel like comedy and dramatized skits is not your thing, let's move on to the next one. Engaging is another word you use. I think what keeps people engaged is knowing that there's always going to be something that will benefit their life. If the whole story that you're sharing only helps put you on a pedestal or only puts you in a shinier light, only recognizes you as the hero, people start to feel worse about themselves. And the reality is, people watch you to see the light on themselves. Like you are the mirror that reflects the light back onto the viewer. It's not just about, here's how amazing I am. It's like, man, here's what I'm learning about this really tough journey, and I hope it helps you. So everything I share is from the lens of what can they learn from this? Yes, every now and then I'll have content that's just random or life updates. But if the majority of your content centers the viewer as the hero, you will win because most people want to feel better about themselves. Most people are frustrated, angry, upset, depressed, isolated, alone, triggered, traumatized. There's all of these negative emotions that they're carrying onto social media. And so seeing someone else have their life figured out is not always enjoyable for them to consume, unfortunately. And yes, that might be their work, but it's still the reality. So if you're creating content that allows people to see themselves in a better light and activate a part of their brain that just believes in themselves again, I think when I decided to make my mission and mantra this year is that I bully you into believing in yourself, it allowed me to step into a lane and a voice and a version of me that is more convicting, is more direct, is more challenging in showing you, like, yo, you said you want this, let's go. Like, I know you're capable. I know you have what it takes. I know you've doubted yourself. I know you failed in the past. I know you're afraid. And so was I. Anyone that wants something bad enough will push through the fear. And so, even something like that, it's engaging for someone to listen to words of me reminding them of their capability because it reminds them literally of their capability. And so that keeps it engaging. And so, from that lens, if you are wanting to be like the encourager, the challenger, whatever, being engaging is all about knowing that there's always going to be more. You can never max out words of encouragement. There will always be another lens where I could share from to help people see what's possible in life. And I think When I think of series in general, you can have one that is like a singular journey or a singular demographic. So, a journey, the series is based around taking people from A to B. The demographic is a series based on all types of people that fit that mold. For example, I followed a account. I think I found her through literally her series content. I think it's ADHD.crystal with a K. And she basically talks about ADHD Girl Works. You know, that's the name of the series, ADHD Girl Works. And it's just about how the ADHD brain works for women. And the series is brilliant. It's just every episode that I've tuned into, it's just breaking down a different element of what it's like to have ADHD and how we break through it. And so I follow it and it's engaging because I learned something more about ADHD, but then also myself in return having ADHD. So it's a really powerful thing when you see people just generously give their insight, their tips, their wisdom, their stories, their lessons, because you can just, apply that to your own life and save a bunch of time. That's ultimately what you're doing with your series is you're saving people time from, you know, doubting themselves, from trying to figure it out alone, from feeling alone in that journey. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. I really think anyone who creates storytelling series, especially before the end of the year, like I really want y'all to get on it because by next year, everyone will be doing it and you want to feel like you're a little bit ahead of the curve. But yeah, it's going to be cool to see. And yeah, I think that's the question. Great question, Carolyn. Yeah, and for anyone that is wanting just more insight on just how to tell better stories and how to create better series, I did a storytelling workshop about 2.5 hours long. But basically, I teach for the first part, and then we have people that are on the call that we're doing examples, and you can like kind of hear how people work through their niche, their category, their industry, and apply my framework to it. So yeah, that should also be in the link in my bio in my stand store if you want the replay. If you bundle that with the creative reset, you are set. Like you will know how to tell better stories, and then you'll have a 90-day kind of coaching framework to work through until the end of the year. So yeah, and for those that are enjoying the creative reset, I love it. I'm reading your DMs. I'm hearing all of the success stories. Some of you that are just putting out videos, showing yourself on camera again. It's really cool to see that all it takes is someone reminding you that you're capable to like pick up the camera and start recording. So great job, everyone. And I will see you tomorrow.